Marketing is a funny thing. Let's say this is a 1280 by 720 pixel display. In other words, a 720p display. Then this would be a 1920 by 1080 or a 1080p display. And this is a 2560 by 1440 display, or by that nomenclature norms, a 1440p display. But it's more commonly known as the 2K display. I guess 2K just sounds cooler. Anyway, a lot of manufacturers have been teasing 2K displays for a while now. We've had rumors, even leaked specs, but it's a relatively unknown manufacturer who's managed to put a smartphone with a 2K display on the shelves. Vivo. The smartphone? The X-Play 3S. While Vivo might be new to you, setting records isn't something new to Vivo. For a good part of 2013 and 2014, Vivo held the record for the slimmest phone in the world, the Vivo X3S, a phone that was just 5.75mm thick. They held that record till a month back when Xiaomi bettered that with the eLife S 5.5 and its 5.55mm thickness. So the X-Play 3S with a 2K display, is this a case of Vivo trying to create a name for itself by attracting media attention? Or do they really have a winner here? Well, let's find out. So if this is your first time here, or in case you've gotten lost in all that geek talk about display naming conventions and just can't remember, my name's Ash, this is C4E Tech, and you're watching my full review of the Vivo X-Play 3S. Let's get started. When I first saw the X-Play 3S specs on paper, well, I felt Vivo just took all that's hot in the market today and kinda put together a device, cause big display, check, metal frame, check, stereo speakers, check, fingerprint sensor, again, there it is. But when I actually got the phone in hand and started using it, I noticed quite a lot of attention to detail paid by Vivo. Despite housing a 6-inch 2K display and having a mammoth 3200 mAh battery, the X-Play 3S manages to stay quite slim and light at 8.68mm and 174 grams respectively. The audio quality via stereo speakers is great. Well, not as good as, say, the HTC One M8, definitely better than the likes of the iPhone 5s and the Galaxy S5. Notice how the phone curves near the speakers. This means when the phone's lying on its back, the audio output is not obstructed. As we move on with this review, you'd notice a lot of this little attention to detail that Vivo has shown. And by the way, the audio via earphones is also pretty good. So alright, it looks great, it feels well built, sounds amazing, it checks all the right boxes when it comes to consumer expectations. But all that doesn't count for a lot if it didn't have the right stuff underneath. Fortunately, that's not an issue with the X-Play 3S. It's powered by the Snapdragon 801 chipset, the same one used in the likes of the Xperia Z2 and HTC One M8. 4 Krait 400 cores clocked at 2.3 GHz each, coupled with an overclocked Adreno 330 GPU and 3 gigs of RAM. The internal storage is 32 gigs, sadly there's no room for memory expansion though. The phone benchmarks great, and that beast of a GPU had absolutely no issues chewing through any game we threw at it. Okay, well that's great. Probably the main reason why you're watching this video is because you're intrigued by the display. And the display on the X-Play 3S delivers. It's brilliant, absolutely fabulous. But spread over 6 inches, 1440p or 2K gives you a pixel density of 490 pixels per inch. We've already seen 467 pixels per inch on the HTC One M7 last year. So as long as you don't expect to feel what you felt when you first moved on to a 720p display from a 480p display, the 2K display on the X-Play 3S is not gonna disappoint. Everything looks very sharp and the viewing angles are great. Now let's move on to the camera. The X-Play 3S has a 13 megapixel f1.8 rear camera and it takes beautiful pictures, crisp, tons of details, great dynamic range, on par with cameras from the last set of flagships. The UI is actually really good too. Minimalistic, everything sorted and labeled clearly. It actually left me impressed. The front camera also deserves a mention here. 5 megapixel wide angle for those group selfies. Good stuff. It's worth noting that there is no 4K video recording though. For what it's worth, the 1080p video shot at 30 frames per second is pretty good. Now let's move on to the software. The X-Play 3S runs on Android 4.3 Jelly Bean with its custom FunTouch OS on top. It's pretty customizable, themable actually. FunTouch OS lets you change icons, lock screen styles, even system fonts and more. It even takes a page out of iOS. Slide from the bottom, you have your open apps and more importantly, quick toggles. The UI feels refined, the settings menus are well organized. There are also tons of features here. You can slide up with the screen off to directly unlock the phone, slide down to launch the camera, draw a letter to launch a particular app. You can slide your hand over the sensor on top to show your notifications or even unlock the device. You also have an option to have the phone vibrate when you pick it up in case you have a missed notification. And then there's the fingerprint sensor on the back. This is a button. So with the fingerprint set, you can have the phone wake by pressing it and swiping over it. Yep, swipe over it. Kinda how you do it with the Galaxy S5 rather than the iPhone 5s. But at least with this placement, you can do it single-handed. Now this is a huge phone and single-handed usage is not really possible at all times. But Vivo have added some tweaks to help with that. There is this floating bar with shortcuts that has an option called mini window. Hit that and now you have a mini display on your screen. Now in the last 2 minutes or so, I'm sure you've been thinking, wow, another Chinese company copying from features from mainstream manufacturers. But here's the part where I'm about to blow your mind. Vivo's been using these features on their phones for a while now. The first Vivo phone that I came across was the Vivo X-Play, and this was back in early 2013, a full 6 months before the Note 3 even launched. I remember seeing the mini window option and thinking, why don't other manufacturers adopt this? I guess Samsung thought the same too. So who's copying from whom? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. There's also a guest mode that can be activated by swiping a different pre-registered fingerprint. You can restrict access to certain apps that you don't want everyone accessing in this mode. Overall, with FunTouch OS, the learning curve is a little bit longer than what you're probably accustomed to. There are no English manuals, no English instructions on a website, not a lot of YouTube tutorials, so if you end up getting this phone, prepare to be in trial and error mode for at least a few hours. That being said, the UI is very stable, fast and smooth without a hint of lag. Now, most naysayers would tell you don't need a 2K display, you can't even tell the difference. Well, I can't answer as to whether you need a 2K display, but with 2K on a 6-inch display, you definitely can see an improvement over a similar sized 1080p display, say for example that we saw on the Oppo N1. Another common question is, wouldn't 2K displays affect performance and battery life negatively? Here, at least with the X-Play 3s, the answer is not really. As evident from the benchmarks, the performance is stellar, and when it comes to battery life, the 3200 mAh sealed battery inside could play a video on a loop for over 10 hours. Even with all the heavy testing and constant benchmarking, I always ended the day with over 20% charge left. Would that number have been, and benchmark scores have been any higher had the X-Play 3s opted for a 1080p display instead? Probably. But then again, if it did have a 1080p display, I wouldn't have cared enough to review it, and even if I did, you probably wouldn't have cared enough to watch the review. Anyway, I'd take a 2K display over a heart rate monitor any day. So I guess that brings us to the end of this review. I'm not really gonna comment on prices here since Chinese prices are very volatile and change all the time. So you can head on over to mirimobiles.com from the link that you find right below the like button in the description to check today's price. So what do you guys think about Vivo and the X-Play 3s? Do you think this is one manufacturer that we need to keep an eye out for? Or are you still not impressed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So hope you guys liked this video. If you have any feedback, anything you feel could have been done better, could be improved, please let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video useful, do show your support by clicking the thumbs up button and sharing this video. These are what help YouTube realize that a video is good and suggest it to others. And to stay updated on the latest in tech, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. So thanks a lot for watching guys, I'll catch you soon in the next one. Till then, this is Ash here from C4E Tech signing off. You guys have a great day. Bye bye now.